If you're a DIYer, you probably need an air compressor. After all, it powers a wide variety of pneumatic tools ranging from spray painters to sanders to nail guns. However, they're also not cheap. Most air compressors in Home Depot or Lowe's cost well over $100. However, go down to your local Harbor Freight Tools and you find this. It's a Central Pneumatic air compressor, 3 gallons, which costs around $50, far less than most competitors. In today's review, I'm going to test this air compressor on 3 different pneumatic tools: a smaller brad nailer, a larger finish nailer, and on a sports ball inflator. Then I'm going to tell you whether this compressor is really worth the money or not. Without further ado, let's get started. This compressor has a capacity of 3 gallons and a maximum pressure rating of 100 psi. That should be good for most light applications. In terms of features, this compressor comes with 2 gauges, one to measure the pressure inside of the tank and one to measure the output pressure. You also get this regulator knob to adjust the output pressure. There's a safety valve which can be used to release excess pressure, and you also get a drain valve which you can use to empty the tank once you're done using it. This compressor is surprisingly easy to operate. It doesn't require any oil. To turn it on, first make sure the drain valve is closed by turning it all the way counterclockwise. Do the same with the pressure regulator valve. Turn it all the way counterclockwise. And finally, plug it into a standard 110 volt outlet and press the on button right over here. Now, one thing is for certain, this compressor is incredibly loud. The compressor is on in my garage and I can actually hear it all the way here on the sidewalk. It's incredibly loud, and this is not something you want to turn on late at night where you can bother all your neighbors. The compressor will fill up until it reaches 100 psi inside the tank. After that, you can continue using it, and once the pressure level drops to 85 psi, the compressor will once again start up and get the psi up to 100. By then it'll shut off again. So between 85 and 100, that's the range that tank pressure will be kept at. So you want to keep your tool pressure generally below 85 psi. This compressor takes roughly 4 to 5 minutes to go from empty to 100 psi. Let's go ahead and test our compressor with a brad nailer. Connecting your hose is easy. You just have to use a standard male-female pneumatic coupling and just slide it in there. I'm going to use the regulator to adjust to roughly 70 psi. This compressor works really well with brad nailers. I'm adding 2-inch brad nails to this furring strip and stud attached together. And as you can see, there's really no problem. As you can see, I was actually able to insert almost 20 nails before the compressor dropped from 100 psi to 85 psi. So definitely, if you're using this compressor for a small woodworking project where you're just using brad nails, maybe framing a photo or something, well, this compressor will work great for you. It's also worth noting that after the tank pressure dropped to 85 psi, the compressor was able to refill back to 100 psi in around a minute. So it's more than enough if you're working on a small project. Now I'm going to test the compressor with a finish nailer. Finish nails are thicker than brad nails. These finish nails are also 2.5 inches long, so a bit longer than our 2-inch brad nails. Let's see how it does. Well, not bad. Except for one bad nail, this compressor actually worked really well with the finish nailer. Even though Central Pneumatic actually says that this compressor is not recommended for finish nailing, I really didn't have a problem. I was able to insert 13 finish nails before the compressor dropped from 100 to 85 psi. I actually used this compressor to build a bunch of shelves, including this one over here and this one. I really didn't have any problem. The compressor recharged fast enough after inserting roughly 12 to 13 finish nails. So If you are doing some light finish nailing, like maybe making a small shelf or something, well, this compressor should suffice. I did have to set this compressor's output PSI at 80, however, so these 2.5-inch finish nails are probably the largest that this air compressor can handle. Anything larger and you would have to increase the PSI beyond 85, which is too high for this compressor. This compressor is also excellent for inflating footballs, basketballs, anything you like. All you gotta do is use this attachment, press it in, and pull this trigger. And yes, that's it. I inflated this entire football in like 3 seconds. I can also do the same with basketballs, obviously. Once again, just press this in, pull the trigger and inflate. And that's it. After you're done using a compressor, turn it off and turn this drain valve clockwise in order to empty out all the air. The tank empties in roughly 30 seconds. So overall, what do I think of this compressor? Well, I think it's an excellent product. Whether you're a handyman or a DIYer or not, I think this is definitely a great tool to have at home. Even if you don't have any experience with woodworking, well, this compressor is really easy to use and it's quite cheap. And over the last few months I've used it, I've had absolutely no problems. Whether you want to fix a broken piece of furniture or put up a photo frame, well, this compressor is a great tool and they're also incredibly cheap. I've heard of people picking these up from Harbor Freight Tools for under $45. That's insane because Harbor Freight Tools always has deals and discounts going on. Well, for that price, this compressor is an excellent value. It's also a great starter compressor for amateur DIYers. And even if you're not a DIYer, it's just a great tool to have at home.